Hey everyone, today we'll discuss how you can improve your revenue through pipelines-based processes, such as new business, prospecting, renewals, pending cancels, um, and furthermore, various pipelines and processes that you might have in your agency. People are using pipelines for managing the uh, cross-selling aspect of their business, or as I mentioned, maybe pending cancels, new business, and so on. Automate comes with pre-designed templates for many of these processes that we found to be quite useful and valuable for our users. However, they're fully customizable, and each one of you can change them per your needs. We're here to help as well, and will gladly guide you and build these things for you. And that being said, before we even are able to build any kind of processes around these new business or renewals or claims or endorsement pipelines and move cards around and therefore trigger certain automations, which we'll get to in a moment, first we need to make sure that our contacts, our insureds, our prospects are loaded into the system and they end up on the various stages as desired. And there are multiple ways of getting your leads into the system. And I'm joined by Mitko as well as Vesco that will help us understand some of these aspects and how we can build the perfect process with pipelines. My first question would be, what are some of the ways of getting people into the system and into a specific pipeline stage? And let's ask Mitko here, how would you describe some of these ways, Mitko? What are some of the ways of getting people in here?
Yeah, so Vlad, there are a bunch of different ways. One is to, of course, add the contact into NowCerts. Then they automatically come over here to automate. And based on how the person wants the system to work, they can come into a different stage. So a new prospect can show up under a new contact, for example.
Well, let me ask you this. If I have an insured and that insured has a specific line of business or specific type or maybe specific state or maybe specific tag,
Yeah.
can I put that person or that object or that insured into a various pipelines such as
Yes, you can.
endorsement, new business, renewals, cross-selling, and so on?
Yep. Based on the type, the line of business, like you said, that can be a row and it can make the contact go into a different pipeline, different stage. Yeah.
Excellent. What is another way of getting people into here? So one is because of our integration with NowCerts, the various rules can be applied and people can end up in obviously specific pipelines and stages within the pipelines. Another way.
Another way would be through a file import, a CSV file with a list of prospects. They can get it into the system, get it into Automate, and that would be the second way.
So CSV is something similar to Excel, right? For those that don't know.
Yeah, an Excel file.
So people buy leads, they get them in an Excel file, they can upload them into the system, and while uploading them, the system allows us to do what? To place a tag uh, for various reasons, obviously. As we're uploading the list, we can add a tag, and based on that tag, what can happen?
Uh, the same way with the NowCerts integration, they can come over to a different stage in the pipeline, a different pipeline altogether. A lot of things can happen, a lot of automations can fire based on the tag, line of business, or anything of the sort.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned that um, prospects from NowCerts can come into NowCerts based on various conditions. One of the conditions would be, let's say, a policy is coming up for renewal in the next 45 days, 90 days, whatever days might be. Is that a possible rule as well? For example,
Yeah,
if I
that
want to
is
be,
a possible rule.
and hence we have the renewal pipelines, right?
Yeah, Yeah, if you click on renew, we can see that. Yeah.
Okay, so renewals are based on dates or based on lines of business, based on various conditions. Excellent. Those are two ways or several ways that we discussed actually, but what I think we have more ways of getting people into a pipeline. What are some of the other ways?
Yeah, that would be social media integration, for example. If you have your
Ah,
Facebook or Instagram connected and somebody messages you on your Facebook page, they come over here as a lead.
but we have an organic integration with various platforms such as Facebook, Google My Business, LinkedIn, and so on, Twitter, etc. But there's one more way. Vesco, tell us about one more way of getting people in here. What about those forms? The Facebook forms, for example.
Yes, Rad. Well, when you create a Facebook form, you can integrate that form with our system here. So when somebody fills in the form in Facebook, he'll automatically appear here in Automate 365 as a new contact, as a new lead.
And based on what they have completed in your form, they can end up in the various pipelines as well.
Exactly, yes.
So in Facebook, I could have a form built for new prospects, or I can have a form built for endorsements. I can have a form built for various processes in my agency. I have seen all kinds of forms built on Facebook, and because of our organic integration with Facebook, Google My Business, etc., leads or forms or completions of those forms, I guess I should say, automatically are presented in Automate. Great. And Vesco, but there is more to that. So Facebook, we discussed NowCerts, we discussed uploading an Excel sheet, we discussed rules-based data flow, such as based on line of business, expiration date, etc. And there's more. How about forms that we build for customers or customers build themselves on the platform, such as lead capturing forms, such as I'm not talking about Facebook forms. I'm talking about forms that are built here within the system. Is that another way?
Oh, absolutely, yes. We can create forms and surveys, and when people fill in the forms and they submit them, they will show up in different stages of that pipeline, in different pipelines, of course. However, we choose to set it up, of course.
So we have these type of forms that are very smart forms. There's a lot of automations behind them. They can be very simple. They can be very complex. Regardless of how people do it, and I'm demonstrating here with one very fairly complex form, but there's one simple one right here, right? I can just say like this, and then now I'm presented with the second page. I am putting this information in, and I'm submitting. This is sufficient enough for me to get my prospects into my new pipeline, right?
Exactly, yes.
Absolutely. So we can build various forms, and those forms can be on people's websites, on agencies' websites. They can be on their social media platforms. They can be integrated within their emails and so on and so forth. These are information data capturing form. They don't need necessarily be lead capturing. They could be process capturing, such as requesting an endorsement, requesting a certificate, or something of that nature. And based on that form, then they end up in the various pipelines, various stages. All right, great. So now that we explained how people end up, or businesses, insurers and prospects end up in the various pipelines, what happens once they're here? What is the purpose of them being here? What is the benefit of us placing them in such an organized way where we know this is my new business, this is my endorsements pipeline, this is my claims, lost prospects, and so on and so forth? What could that do? If I'm in new business, giving it, let's go with examples. And if I move this particular one from new contact into information gathering, what could happen, Vesco?
Well, many things. An automation can be triggered, maybe a task can be created, a notification, an email can be sent, an SMS to that prospect. Many different automations can be triggered as well.
So automation is the key behind it. Once a prospect moves from one stage to the next, automation is triggered behind the scenes. SMSs are sent, voicemails are dropped, emails are sent, internal notifications as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Internal notifications too. That SMS could go internally to the team, or maybe it could go directly to the client. Keeping in touch with that customer, that is kind of the purpose of this whole process. Keeping in touch with the team, communicating with the internal team. If I'm moving one prospect from new contact to information gathering, that means I have established a communication with that person. I'm sending an email directly to them or SMS. Hey, we still need a little bit more information from you. Can you provide us with whatever that information might be? Your VIN numbers, maybe your date of birth, maybe some other information, loss runs, etc. And we can also schedule these automations to go out immediately or repeat in the future. Is that right, Mitko?
Yeah, that's right.
So what would be the benefit of doing this? If I'm gathering information here, they didn't have it in the first place, obviously. I've made a call. I couldn't get them to provide me with the loss runs or some other important information. What is the benefit of me reminding them or re-triggering that automation again and again?
Oh, the benefit is that the system can do it for you. The system can send an SMS or an email every few days. If they don't respond, the system just keeps asking.
That's great. Yes, exactly. So the follow-up is the key element here, guys. If we have uh, if we have been in touch with a prospect of ours, that person is supposed to provide us with additional information in order for us to provide them a quote. Well, unless we gather that info, we are not progressing, we're not getting anywhere. It is very easy to fall through the cracks. And having a system behind it that would follow up for you via SMS, email, some other social media, whatever that method might be, is a key element. People have tendency to forget to drop things along the way. So this is a way of keeping on top of each prospect. And the same thing applies to applications submitted. Once we submit the application to a market for quoting, then we can notify our customer that, hey, we've gathered all of your information. We have now submitted it to multiple carriers. Once we receive a quote, we'll be in touch with you to get that going. That is one way of communicating with them. You can then trigger it again and again. Let's say the process takes a little bit longer than expected, than anticipated. If the market takes a bit longer, or sometimes we do have to follow up with the underwriters as well. Well, in a couple of days, we can say, you know what, it's taking a bit longer, I know, but let's be patient. I'm working on it. I will see if we can gather something, if we can get you a quote as soon as possible. And if that delay continues in a day or two, we are informing the customer yet again of that delay, acknowledging the fact that it's taking a bit longer, and we are obviously sending them such email or such SMS, internal notifications as well. Hey, do you know what? You submitted this for quoting 4 days ago. No one has responded. Perhaps the agent should be following up with the market here. And maybe a task can be created for a CSR to follow up with the market. Maybe a comment can be made in notifications and so forth. The same process applies. Furthermore, once we receive the quote and we have received it from the market, we are now letting the customer know, hey, we have your quote. Looking forward to presenting that to you. Book an appointment so that we can go over it. That is a key element. Now, the call to action, book an appointment, is very, very important. keeping in touch with them throughout the process, obviously very important, but having that call to action at the end, book an appointment so that we can go over it, is a key element to making sure that that actually turns into a sale. Calling them, emailing them, less effective in what research and what information we have than if they were to book an appointment with the agent. So the call to action here should be book an appointment, but we can go over that individually for each agency might be different, and line of business could be different as well. Proposal could be sent or communicated in some other way. Proposals, many agents prefer to discuss the quote over the phone instead of sending it via email. Some prefer to create a video, and so on and so forth. That we can discuss and we can build out for you. And the same exact element and same type of process can be built around endorsements. If someone comes to a website or to a forum, to Facebook, to your email, to wherever it is, that they're completing one of our forums that we can build for you and request an endorsement, one, we can acknowledge the receipt of the endorsement. Two, we can send ourselves a notification that someone has done so. Three, we can keep track of it. Let's make sure that we're on top of this. We are sending it out to the carrier, to the underwriter for quoting is the first step here. We are making sure that we have received those quotes from the underwriter and what the change would be in the premium, collected the money, and so on and so forth until we have actually made the endorsement effective. That same thing can be replicated for claims, lost business, lost prospects, for example. So if we have prospects that have been lost, what could we do, Mitko? What do you think we could do if we have lost some prospects? So not everyone will turn into a customer. We all understand that. Some not everybody will. Some people will not buy this year. What could we do here?
Yeah, well, the system can tag these people as lost, whether it be a personal prospect, a commercial one, and it can launch different marketing campaigns to get them back.
Absolutely. So let's say if it's personal in 6 months, if it's commercial in a year from now, we can start communicating with them yet again. Even before that, even on their birthday, perhaps on some other conditions, we can be communicating with that lost prospect. It doesn't mean that we can't requote them again the following year. And that is how you build these pipelines and how you work these various stages. It is a full process. It is not just a pipeline with a bunch of tasks and automations behind it. It is the data flow from various aspects, whether that be from NowCerts, that be from manually adding the customer or importing the sheet, gathering the information from social media or forms that we can build on your website. Very smart forms behind the scenes on your website, or they can live anywhere actually. Full process behind pipeline-based automation and revenue generation. Hopefully that is helpful for everyone that is watching. Appreciate your patience. And if you have any questions, drop them down below. The links for booking appointments are available. Please, we are eager to help you and build these things for you, because Automate is the only CRM that comes with a dedicated support representative that is very, very happy and willing to build these automations for you.